G'day there. My name is Ozzy Stern, country Victorian gamer of Star Wars Armada, Star Wars Legion, X-Wing, Dystopian, Battletech, Flames of War, and many other games. I have just finished my most recent project for Dystopian Wars. This is the Imperium. And as you may have seen in my previous videos, this is a actual project or a commission for one of my friends who unfortunately hasn't been able to do too much painting in recent times. So the models are from Sturginium Skies. They're all nicely painted now and all been varnished. A couple of things of note: that half the flyers have been magnetized, and this is primarily because of just ease in moving it around. Quite a lot of the models that we deal with can be quite susceptible for being knocked and broken if they are just pinned or glued in sort of thing. It's a very known weak point where the actual model meets the peg sort of thing. It's very small, so it can knock off. Magnets gets around that a little bit easier as long as you use the right magnets. So please take a look, see what you think, and I'll just come back with some conclusions after I've shown you all of them. Okay. So here is the Sturginium Skies Imperium side, all nicely painted. There are 4 of these short range fighters and 2 of these longer ones, long range tokens. 2 medium-sized frigates, one done up as a aircraft carrier, the other one as a command vessel. 4 frigates, 4 of these scout zeppelins, 4 more small ones but slightly a bit more bulkier, 2 of these mediums, and of course the big guy. Which is pretty impressive, I think. All in all, I've used the yellow cross with a black border as a theme for all of my models, and that's carried across into all of the vessels that I have done. You'll also note that on some of the flyers I've also done yellow crosses, and also on the wings, the fantail, also some yellow crosses. Those ones are already there. So a couple of things to note about the models that are from Dystopian, and especially the Sturginium Skies set. Make sure you dry fit them first. Make sure that they fit quite nicely and they look the part. What I found with a lot of the larger scale models is that they did have slight imperfections that I needed to use green stuff to fill in, or alternatively had to use a hobby knife to remove some of the flashing or excess mold from the model to make it fit right. So doing a dry fitting run can be very important. The other thing is use the instructions. Look at the instructions on the Warcradle website or in any instruction books that you get with the models, because it will show you a lot of the choices that you can choose for it. Third thing I would say, keep your spare parts. If you have spare bits of the airfin or weapon choices, keep them. Put them into a little box on the side, and you never know, because some of those weapons or some of those items might come in useful later on with other expansions from the same faction. Lastly is regarding paint. Now, I have painted the Spartan game stuff, and I was fully aware of the colors that I was going to choose to do this in. But when it came down to it, due to the fact that I was most of the Warcradle, the Spartan game stuff was in resin, the actual paint that I was using was not quite up to the task when being put onto a plain plastic like this. Obviously, towards the end, Spartan Games did produce quite a lot of plastics, but for some of the stuff that was the more older resin stuff that I had, the way that I was doing the painting techniques of trying to build in shade using washes on it didn't quite work as well on these models than it would for the resin models because of the porous nature of resin. So testing with your paints on even a little bit of sprue can be very important as well. Final thoughts. The models are really good. I like them. They have that image of the old style Zeppelins, and I'm specific thinking of the Hindenburg that exploded over in America, sort of thing, prior to World War II, I think it was. Maybe World War One, I can't remember. But that whole image of old steam powered, and that it is military, it is aircraft, it's not high technology like we would think of today or even World War II stuff. This is like pre-World War One, so it's big, it's chunky, it has a lot of redundancy sort of thing, and I do really like that. I would also factor in making sure that if you do models of a specific faction, make sure you write down the color palette that you're planning on using, because the color palette, the choices that you make for one model should be reflective on pretty much all of that faction models, unless you're doing like two different sub-factions within it, or maybe an amalgamation. But at least every single unit, if you're going to have two ships running together, they should theoretically be of the same color type. And lastly, just do your research. There are heaps of stuff out there from other players painting their Dystopian War models to even the genres sort of thing. The books, the Leviathan series of books may also be helpful, and just enjoying painting them. And I think that's about it from me today. Lastly, my next project will be going back to Star Wars Legion. I have received a Ahsoka Tano, as well as I am currently waiting for a T-47 to come, which I will do an unboxing for, because this T-47 is from Garvey's Games through his licensing with Maddox, I think. And this T-47 will have a crew person and the ability to open up the cabinet piece. It should be quite nice to have a look at and compare it against an actual Atomic Mass Games T47, which I also am currently waiting for to arrive. But for now, for Aussie Stan, please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment if you're interested, and I will see you on the table next time. Bye for now.